We're going to look at solving some real-world problems to find the percents or the parts or wholes represented in the problems. We're going to do this using models as well as using a percent proportion. So what some of those models look like is when we use our 100 grid and we look at percents and parts using a number line, or sometimes percent bars if you draw it as a bar, to find the missing part, the missing whole, or the missing percent. We'll also look at using our percent proportion. Again, remembering the part is the numerator, the whole is our denominator, and we have all of a percent. We have out of 100, so that's our whole, and then our percent. Well, when we write this, we always take the percent sign off and we just use the number. So an example, 20%, we would just put 20 in place because 20 over 100, 20 hundredths, is 20%. So let's take a look at this problem. In the city garden, 60% of flowers are roses. There are 300 flowers in the city garden. How many of the flowers are roses? So first off, what do we need to find? How many of the flowers are roses? So out of all the flowers in the garden, I'm looking for the number of roses in the garden. So I need to find how many of the flowers are roses. What do we know? Looking back, we see that they told us there were 300 flowers in the garden. So if that's the whole garden, then all the flowers represents our total or our whole. Then they also gave us 60% of the flowers are roses. So this is part of the garden. So 60%, remember that 60 when we use it is going to be a part, not out of all the, it's not the whole percentage, because the whole for the percent would be 100. So let's take a look at our number line here. If I start at the left, I have 0% all the way to 100%. If I have 100% of the flowers in my garden, how many flowers do I have? I have 300 flowers. They told us that total, or that whole number of flowers in the garden. So I'm going to use my number line here to help me figure out how I could break up those flowers to find the 60% that I need. So I know I can go halfway, because half of 100 is 50, so that would give me 50%. Half of 300 is 150, but I'm not quite there. I still need 10% more. 100, I know, can be broken down into 10 pieces, and each of those pieces would be 10%. So to find this 1/10 piece, I could take 300 and divide by 10. 300 divided by 10 is going to give me 30. So now I know I have 50% is 150 and 10% is 30. So if I put those two things together, 10% and 50%, I would have a total of 60%, which is what I need. So here, the same idea, we're going to combine these 10% and 50% of the roses, 30 plus 150 roses, is going to be equal to 180 roses. So there are 180 roses in the garden. In the city garden, 60% of the flowers are roses. There are 300 flowers in the city garden. How many of the flowers are roses? So what are we looking for? How many of the flowers are roses? So of all the flowers in the garden, we want to know what part of that garden is made up of roses. So how many roses are there? So I need to know how many flowers are roses. What do I know? I know that the total garden flowers is 300, which is our whole, and the part of our percent that we need is going to be 60%. So the part of our percent is 60 that we're looking for to find the number of roses. So when we think about that, here's 60% of my garden shown, and I need to find all of this. So 40% of our garden isn't roses. So I want to set up my percent proportion. So remember, we have our part on top and our totals or our whole on the bottom. Our total in this case is going to be 300 flowers and 100%. Our roses is that 60%, and we're looking for that number. So 60% or 60 over 100 is equal to something over 300, because 300 was our total number of flowers. Now I'm looking for a relationship between 100 and 300, or within this ratio 60 to 100. I don't see anything really easy between 60 and 100 because I can't multiply by 2 to get to 100, but I look at 100 to 300, and I know that I could multiply by 3 to get to 300. So therefore, I could do the same thing on top using that scale factor to multiply by 3 so that these stay equivalent or equal. 60 times 3, 6 times 3 is 18. That means 3 times 60 is going to be 180. 180 of the flowers in the garden are roses. There are 180 roses in the garden.